Hey, welcome back to Business 150, Introduction to Management. This is now our 9th and final video in module number 1. You finished module number 1. That is awesome. Well, you will at the end of this video. All right. So this very last video, we want to just quickly discuss, as you see here on the title slide, management and the new workplace. The new workplace. Wait a minute. Someone replaced the old one with a new one? Well, they sure did, because a lot of things are continually changing in the world around us and in work in general, and therefore the manager of today and tomorrow needs to be very cognizant and aware of what is changing and going on right beneath our feet, and how do we need to adjust to all of these things to lead well. So at the end of this video, you should be able to discuss large trends of change and what the new workplace looks like, as well as identify how managers must now focus their efforts on meeting demands of today's workers. Both these things are incredibly important in today's workplace, so let's dive right in. Here are some aspects of the new workplace to consider. Diversity is increasing in the workforce. More so and more so with every changing quarter, every changing season. Now, when we use the word diversity, we're talking about numerous different dimensions of diversity, but the most common ones we talk about in the workplace, diversity along the dimensions of age, gender, ethnicity, physical abilities and disabilities. Now, not only is diversity increasing in the workplace, but work ethics are changing. Gone, really, are the days of highly motivated, driven yuppies of the 1980s, and instead we have Gen X, Y, and millennials who desire a lot more flexibility and individuality in defining their careers, their roles, their jobs and organizations, and these new desires, these new set of work ethics, present all sorts of challenges as you manage workers, employees, and colleagues who come from different generations with different sets of values. In addition, managers must create an attractive environment for today's worker, no matter what generation they come from, and no matter how diverse and what groups of dimensions of diversity they come from. Managers must provide incentives to motivate this highly diverse workforce. And let's be perfectly frank, money is not always the best motivator for people depending on what their personal values and why they're working in the first place, right? Many people today will leave a very good paying job because it does not satisfy their sense for life purpose, for making a change in the world around them, for a whole set of very important reasons that are more important today than they've ever been in a diverse workforce. Managers of today need to be prepared to cope with and address continual change. What does it mean to manage now in a workplace that, for instance, may be permanently changed by COVID-19 and this pandemic we are currently in as this video is being recorded? Will this always be the case? And if not, how do we adjust the modern workplace to embrace more or less work at home, stay at home kinds of provisions for today's worker? New technology remains a challenge. Does anybody remember the first time you tried to join either a class or a work meeting over Zoom? Well, new technology will continue to remain a challenge to us, not simply because it's technology, but because we need to contextualize technology as simply a tool to get a larger job done. And finally, managers now have a complex array of organizing possibilities. It isn't as simple as simply having all your employees show up at the factory at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? You may have workers who are working from home all around the world with wildly different time zone restrictions. You may have production in one country while inventory and operations is in another country. You may have a sales group based in another continent or a different city, or all managing all sorts of different geographical locations simultaneously. Not to mention these new pandemic-driven restrictions on where can workers go out and how will you engage with them if they're working from home. These are all contours and constraints placed on us in the new workplace. How will you deal with them as a manager in the contemporary world? Well, These are all considerations. As we look at this next slide, right, after this video, are you able to at least discuss the large trends in this new workplace, as well as identifying how managers have to focus their efforts on meeting demands of today's workers? You can be forgiven if you think that this video simply provides more questions than answers, because quite frankly, that's the world we're now dealing with. More questions than answers. Here's the thing though. Today's manager and tomorrow's manager needs to be able to quickly discern and develop practical and wise answers to each of those questions. That's the reason why we introduce them as questions now. So as we move to the next module in this class and the next module after that for the rest of this semester, we can begin to develop the understanding of management so that you, in the near future, can begin to provide wise answers to many of these questions. I hope this module has helped you as an introduction to the topic of management. I'm looking forward to the next module, module number 2. I hope you are as well. We'll see you in the next module.